Hi, in this video, I will share with you how to draw this painting using skills of Pastel Nagomi Arts. Here are the tools and materials that you will need for drawing this painting. For more explanations, please watch the video Basic Tools and Materials for Pastel Nagomi Art in my channel. You can also find its link in the description of this video. So about this painting, it is actually one of my first Nagomi artworks. I remember at that time, the second heavenly birthday of my daughter Yashar was approaching. I was thinking about what I want to do in order to remember her in such a special day. As you know, as a bereaved mom, I had very complicated feelings, and the grief for losing her was also very overwhelming. But so happened, I got to learn about Pastel Nagomi art around that time. I found that the paintings are very beautiful and the drawing techniques are also very simple. So I want to have a try to draw something for my little girl for her birthday. To draw this painting, the first thing is to paint the foundation. Here I use ivory in order to do so. All you need to do is to script the pastel on the paper. Then rub the pastel over the paper. The next thing is to draw the candles. To do so, we will make a stencil. So take out a piece of paper, cut this into half. The size of the candle is up to you. Here I draw a candle of about 1.5 inches wide. You may want to make the stencil taller so that you can draw candles of different heights with only one stencil, which I will show you how to do that a little bit later. You can of course make 2 stencils or more of different shapes and sizes. Here I make only 1 stencil as a demonstration. This one is a bit small. Actually, it should be wider. Okay, like this. Then we draw the melting wax. Then we cut out the stencil. Then we place the stencil on top of the drawing paper. You can place the stencil higher or lower, but here, because I have 2 candles, so I place it a little bit higher like this. Then I tape it on the side in order to fix its location. And then I script some pastel inside the stencil. Here I use yellow ochre to do so. Then we use a finger to rub the pastel over the paper. In order to make some shadow, I script another pastel on the side of the candle. Here I use a tangerine. So we just script the pastel on the right hand side of it. Then we remove the stencil. You will find that there is some extra pastel here. In order to get rid of it, we can find a plastic container, whatever plastic container or just container. This is actually the lid of a box that I use to keep my tools for Pastel Nagomi art. So lock the painting, lock the drawing paper against the container a bit. Then you will find that most of the extra pastel will go away. But if there is still some extra pastel here, we can use a cotton pad, fold it in this way, then we sweep it a little bit, just sweep it lightly on top of it. Then we draw the second candle. Let me take out this tape first. Okay. This time, in order to have some variety, I will flip the stencil. But before I do that, I clean it a bit first because you can see that there are some pastel here. We can use a cotton pad to do that, but in order to make it cleaner, I use an eraser to do that. So just erase the pastel. So that the pastel will not get onto the painting when we flip the stencil. So we flip the stencil, put it on top of the drawing paper, and this time I overlap the first candle a bit. Then we tape it to fix its location. Scrape some pastel. Again, this one is yellow ochre. Yeah. Then we use our finger to rub the pastel over the paper. Then again, we make the shadow using tangerine. We just scrape the pastel on the right hand side of the candle. Okay, then we remove the stencil. If you want to clean the extra pastel here a little bit more, you can also use a cleanable eraser. Especially because our background color now is kind of white, you can just use a cleanable eraser. Tap on it, just tap on it a little bit. The next thing we draw is the little flame on top of the candles. You may use some stencils with a water drop pattern. Let me show you like this one. Yeah. Or we can make one which is very simple. So we take out a piece of paper. We only need a small one, so I cut the paper. The size of the flame is again up to you, and here I try to compare it with the candle a bit and to draw. Okay. Then cut it out. Then we place it on the top of the candle. Yeah. But this time, because the stencil is a bit small, we will not scrape the pastel inside the stencil. We will scrape it outside. You can just scrape it on the cutting mat, or you can find a piece of paper, scrape the pastel on it, or you can also find a piece of little plastic to do that. Let me show you my. So this one actually is just a divider of one of my old schedule books. I find it very handy because it is small, and I also can clean it after I use it, and then I use it for other paintings. So for the flame, I want to have two colors. This one is light chrome. So we just scrape some pastel here. And then another color is a light orange. So use our finger to dip the pastel a little bit. Then we draw from the bottom to the top in order to create some gradation. Like this. We can also add some orange color here. Like this. Then we do the second one. Again, this time I want to flip the stencil, but before I do that, I clean it a bit first with an eraser. Put it on top of the candle. This time I use this orange color from the bottom to the top, like this. I want to add some more on the bottom. The next thing we do is to paint the background color. The choice of colors is again up to you. Here I use a kind of purple, two kinds of pink, and then red. Let me show you my choice of colors. Okay, put this one aside first. So here they are. You can of course choose other colors or colors that your loved one like. So I script the pastel on the paper. And rub it over the paper. Be careful when you get close to the candle or the flame, because we need to leave a white stripe surrounding the candle. But in any case, if you find that by accident you get too close to the candles like this one, just leave it first. We can go back to it later and clean it up with the cleanable eraser. This area is a bit tricky. Then we do the second color. But before I rub it over the paper, because my fingers are very dirty now, so I clean it. I clean them with a wet towel. I always have a wet towel on the table, so that I can clean my fingers when I find that they are already too dirty, especially if you need to use pastel of different colors for your painting. But then don't forget to dry your fingers with a dry towel also before you rub on the pastel. Otherwise, the pastel will stick together because your fingers are wet. So remember to blend the two colors a bit, like this. Then we do the third color. Again, rub the two, blend the two color a bit. You can also use a clean finger to do that. Then we do the final color. Okay, let me clean my fingers a bit first. If you want to have a clearer white stripe here, we can use a clearable eraser to do so. But then I find that actually here I want to have more red. So just rub the pastel a bit. Okay. Okay, then you can use a readable eraser. Tap on the area that you want to clear up, or you can erase it lightly like this. And this one. See. And because I want to have some distinction between the two candles, here I raise it like this. The last thing to draw these flowers, we will use the erase technique to do so. You can find some stencils with flower pattern like this one. Let me show you this one, or you can also make your own. Let me show you how to make a simple one. So again, take out the piece of paper. We first of all draw a horizontal line of about 1/2 inch. Then we draw a little trapezoid above it, and then another trapezoid below it. Then draw 2 lines across the angles of the trapezoid. Then we draw flower petals along those lines. Don't draw too big. That one, this one is already too big. Because we will need to leave some space between the flower petals in order to make the stencil. Okay, something like this. Then we cut it out. This one is not very successful. This one is broken. Okay, let me draw another one very quickly, and also take this time to show you how to draw it again. And so that's why I said be careful not to draw too big the flower petals, otherwise we will tear off the paper when we cut them out. Okay, this still too close, this one. Okay, like this. Okay, let's do it again, cut it up. Then we place it on the drawing paper. We use an ordinary eraser to erase it. Like this. You can erase as many or as few flowers as you like. This process looks very repetitive, but it is also one of the parts that I like Pastel Nagomi Arts. I usually use this time to think about my daughter Yashar. Drawing flowers or erasing flowers like this make me feel like I'm planting some flowers for her. So you can erase just part of the flowers, especially on the side of the painting, like this. Some people call this technique hard erase because we use an ordinary eraser or pencil eraser to erase most of the pastel that we have drawn. Then we will add some flower cores and stems and leaves on the flowers. You can just use the colors that you use for the background. You only need to use the corner of the pastel stick to draw it like this. Just a small dot. You can use different colors to do that. Some more here. Okay, then we find some green color to draw the flower stem and leaves. And draw them in different directions like this. Okay, this corner is not sharp enough, so we change to use another corner. Now this one is better. So we are almost done. At last, we tear off the tape here. Don't mind if you tear off some of the surface of the paper. Actually, in Pastel Nagomi art, they regard this kind of scar or tearing off as part of the painting. And they even teach some skills in order to make different kind of scars or tearing off by pressing on the tape. You may then write down happy birthday, then the name of your loved one. Mine is Yashar. I usually sign on the right hand side also. Then put down the date. I would also very much appreciate if you can write down original painting, Yashar's Corner. Especially if you post your painting on social media. I hope that, okay, finally, I almost forget about that. You may also spray some fixative in order to protect the painting from being smudged. Yeah. Especially if you want to keep this painting for a long time, or you want to display it somewhere without framing it. I hope that, that is my hope. I hope that drawing this painting will give you some comfort when you are missing your loved one, or when you are preparing to remember his or her heavenly birthday. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment to me. For more about Nagomi art and embracing grief, please visit the Facebook page of Yashar's Corner. You can also find a private group which offers a safe place for you to learn and share about the experience of processing grief through painting pastel Nagomi art.